Good morning, everybody. Autodesk docs using file packages in the review process. Please note there is a lag in the audio. So if you have any queries, you're most welcome to add them to the chat. And I will handle them as best possible as they come through in the chat. We will be starting promptly at 10, just to give people a chance to get through. And this webinar will also be available for, if you want to watch it later, it will be on Micrographics YouTube channel. Right, it's just turned 10. Welcome very much, everybody, to the Micrographics webinar, Autodesk Docs, using file packages in the review process. So for those of you that are familiar with the Autodesk Construction Cloud, the use of the word packages might be a bit confusing. For those of you that don't know the software whatsoever, that, of course, will be new. Just to get to the agenda today, we'll have a quick chat about what the packages are, how to create and manage them, how to consume files in the packages, how to search and filter packages, how to assign package managers and package permissions, and then that you can also have the packages on your mobile device. Alright, so creating and managing packages, and what are they really? Let's have a look at that. What you'll see on my screen is a project that I have put together, and which I've tried to scale as much as possible, and which I use to test the technology with. The most basic license that you have available to you in the Autodesk Construction Cloud is the Docs license. Docs is common to a lot of the licenses, and whoever has a license and has Docs will then also have the availability of specifications, reviews, transmittals, issues, reports, members, bridge, and settings. And under the files, something that we call packages. And you'll see under the packages, under the files heading, we've got folders, packages, and holding areas. The holding areas are just if you have a file name that is being enforced, or your file names must be verified before they get added to the platform. So that's besides the point. The only one that really is of interest here is the packages, and there you can see that we've got the package icon. Now, for those of you that are familiar with the Construction Cloud, you must not confuse this with the collaborate workflow, where we share packages via a timeline. These two types of packages are completely separate from each other. The one is a collaboration package that works on a swim lane and on a timeline per team that we set up. And the other one is purely a docs package. So just to inform you that some large projects, depending on their nature, are run on docs only and do not use this timelining for sharing of information. Now, there's a lot that can be said about this. This webinar isn't about this platform, but in general, when we work according to BIM Level 2 compliancy, we would want a manager of a team to share information and a manager of a different team then first inspecting the information before consuming the information. That is the most risk-free and safe way to share information. And this design collaboration package system has been designed around that level 2 compliancy. But of course, not every project has the Collaborate or Collaborate Pro mandated for use during the project. So the question really becomes, how are packages relevant to us within our sharing of information workflow or the review workflow within our normal docs license, which is available to anybody that's got a license of some or other nature to the Autodesk Construction Cloud. So we'll start a bit on in the process and say, well, within our members page for the project itself, we would have somebody that is an administrator. So if I click on my own name here, you can see that my access level is given as the project administrator. And there might be one or more project administrators on a project. They have access and full control of everything, and in my experience should stay out of whatever there is unless they needed to be there. So we there as per management and troubleshooting capacity, but we try and delegate as much as possible and to preserve the workflow within silos as much as possible. So that's the first mention. Now this role, or this access level, not a role, this access level of project administrator automatically gives us the ability to have full control over any package that is created. So anybody who is a project administrator will be able to create a package. When we look at our folder structure, just to give you an idea about what we will look at today, there is typically within most structures a work in progress folder. In my case, we're going to look at two task teams within task teams. The one is architectural and structural, to try and keep it simple. So under my work in progress, this represents the working environment for any one team. We refer to them as teams. Other people would refer to them as silos. Think of them as a company. So if you have a vertically integrated company with an architectural and a structural discipline, then you would want to have one of your teams under architecture, under the architectural task team, and one of your teams under the structural task team. So in my work in progress folder, we have the general architecture task team, and under the general architecture task team, we have the micrographics task team 1. Similarly, we will also have under the general structural engineering task team, we will have our micrographics team. So each one of these teams represents a silo in terms of information. The understanding is that they have professional liability that they carry. So if the structural engineer's files are wrong and the building falls down, then they will be legally liable for that. Similarly with the architect. And so we don't want to mix the disciplines and have them access the same file all the time. Yet we need to share this information with other teams at any one specific time. So this is now envisioning the sharing of information. So from our team workspace, we typically have a consumed folder. And within the consumed folder, it references other files. So where do these files come from? It comes from a copy of what might be within this Teams folder. So to make it simple, let's try and use plain English. This is our team. This is where we work. These are our files. When we're ready to share our files, our manager copies our files into the shared folder, into our architectural team folder. There it is. So this is a copy at a specific time of our working files. This is what's referred to as one version of the truth. It is what has been shared with everybody else. It is versioned. And if there's any query, if there's ever any query or dispute, we refer to these files as to what was shared with the project at what time. And in fact, the files within our team silos might not even be visible to other teams, but the shared folders will be. And when we consume information, the idea is then that it sits within our consumed folders. So if we accepted information from structural, then it will be in our structural folder, in our own team silo. In other words, we've then got full control of that silo. And so the consumed files are also within our full control. We are able to edit them and to use them as we wish. If they were, for argument's sake, Civil 3D files, then we could create shortcuts from them. Or if we were a clash detection team, then we can set up some clash detection, either through Navisworks or through the Autodesk Construction Cloud. Point is, we've consumed those files. We've put them into our Teams folder, and we've then got control of them. Now, this process that we've just discussed is seamlessly managed by Autodesk Collaborate Pro and Autodesk Collaborate, because they've got that collaborate ability within the teams and within the swim lanes and within the timeline. So what happens when we don't have access to that? Well, I maintain that it is a good practice to preserve the folder structure, and so that the same process can be followed. So we will still work under the assumption that our team folder is our silo, that the information that we share should be within the shared folder, and that the information that we consume should be a copy of the shared folder. So that is the underlying concept of what we want to explore with regards to packages. We could also explore internally, when we look at our company, that we have typically a document manager folder. So from a team perspective, where we are working, we could copy files or designate files to copy into the document managers folder, and then create a review from there. And passing that review process, we would push that documentation through into our published folders. So there are multiple ways in which we could maybe perceive, and some which I might not have thought of how we can use these packages to collate information. So one of the things that I'm short of is documentation. So when you look at this folder over here, This could have thousands of files in them. So the fact that I've only got 3 is a bit limiting for the purposes of this webinar, but the process will remain similar. It does speak to the management of folder permissions. One of the things that we normally do per task team is to set up a permission matrix in terms of our folders and to maintain the permission structure, the logical structure of who has permission for what. So that's maybe the first thing that we should then analyze next, is that our roles are managed from within an account level. So if I wanted to go and look for the general architectural roles, we can see that I've got team general architecture micrographics 1, and below that we've got team general structural micrographics 1 admin. So per company we've got the ability now to give permissions onto our document folder. Let's look at the architectural folder as an example. These permissions are inherited. That's why it's important to understand them. So on a projects file level, if we had to look at the permission structure, on the right hand side we've got 2 project administrators at the moment. These permissions are inherited all the way down the tree. So for every file and every folder into project files, these individuals will have full control. And that is inherited into subfolders. So where you can see project administrator in the work in progress folder, not in the parent folder. So once you delve into WIP, there is a project administrator role. And under that role, there are some other people that fall with that permission. And again, it can only be inherited down the tree. At best, you can increase the level of permission, not decrease. But you can bypass, like you see, from project folder level, there's only 2 individuals. If we go into work in progress, we've added a role. Could be other individuals as well, and they can then jump in with their permission at that stage of the logical tree. Looking at our task team, the task team has inherited from the work in progress. And then once we go into our individual teams, we add the team admin, thinking that a BIM manager, for argument's sake, or BIM managers that are responsible for this team would have the ability to manage. That means to have full administrative controls, to delete things, and even they will be able to manage this team. We can delegate the management of their team to themselves. That is their silo after all. It's their working space, so it would be good if they have their own BIM manager to manage that. So the BIM manager might also be the person that is the document manager. So in the document manager folder, you'll see that it's inherited the same permission from the team. And then in the collaboration folder, the teams folder, which is the working folder of this team, there we can see that we've added then the general team user with edit permissions, which means that they would be able to use their Revit or their Civil 3D or their InfraWorks or whatever is necessary to come to work on their file. So under each one of those, so under the team, here we've got some dummy accounts, ATC CT1 and CT2. That's from Cape Town. There's 2 users from Cape Town. And ATC1 is also the admin. Now, you might think, now, what does this have to do with packages? Well, these permissions also impact what permissions they have on the packaging. So you need to manage the permissions on your folders so that you can also create packaging. So it's something to keep in the back of your mind. So we said that a project admin, the person with the access level of project administrator, has full access. So that's automatic. But beyond that, we now need to go and see the packages and say, right, who is a package manager? So we can go to our settings. Under the settings, there is a specific item here called package managers. And if we open that package manager, now we can see who is able to create the package management. So we said admin, which is built in. That's the access level of project administrator. They've got full control. Then we've got the team admin for architectural general. There's ATC1, ATC.CT1, right? And then we've got structural general ATC.CT3. So it also helps if we compare what we have within the actual work in progress folder structure. So if I look at this folder over here and I compare the two, ATC3 is the name that I see there. That's for the structural guys. In my architectural folder, I can see, but there is no ATC3 that's given permission on this folder. Okay, so just because you're a manager, a package manager, does not mean that you can create packages for other guys if you don't have the permission to do so. So we still maintain our silo integrity by virtue of giving access to individuals. Similarly, looking at the structural task team, there is our team within the structural task team. We can see that on a team level that the structural admin has access. There's our team folder. And there's the admin as well. All right, so currently, I don't see any users listed under that team. So provided that the roles have been created, you can add the permissions, and then it is up to the project administrator to make sure that the users have the correct folder permissions, so or roles assigned. So this is SXFX1, SXFX1.admin for ATC3, and ATC4 has SXFX1, in other words, just team. All right, so if we go and update this page, let's refresh the page. Now we can see that ATC-CT3 is recognized as being the administrator for our team. And within the working team, we've got both ATC-CT3 and ATC-CT4, the structural team basically, that's under our structural team, and they've got permission here. There's no architect here. There's no CT1 or CT2. CT1 and CT2 are within architecture. CT3 and CT4 are within structural. And so we've managed to separate the structural team within micrographics on this project from the architectural team within micrographics on this project. And that is how we would tackle any vertically integrated company. Of course, if you were just a single company, you would fit into the same schema, into the same folder structure. Everything would work out like that. And again, within the document manager folder, the permissions for the administrator is inherited from the actual team. So thinking being is that whoever is responsible for this team will ultimately publish from the document manager folder, but it is managed through the permissions over here. Typically the project administrator, I just put that in for the internal guys within our actual company to play with the database. Typically we would just kick them off, so there wouldn't be a project administrator there. We'd just go and kick them off, basically saying that we'll just kick these guys off and remove them at that level. So when you have a look at our folders, that's what they would look like. You just have the sort of overall project admin, usually just one person, but it could be more, and then the team admins under that manage that folder. That's typically how it would look. And then within the team, there we would add the team members as well. And like we said, because the packaging is a function of or it's seen as part of the files module or file section of the docs module, that is what we are dealing with. Okay, so let's kind of have a look at what it looks like if you are now, say for argument's sake, an architectural task team admin, ATC CT1. So if you do want to test, if you ever want to test this, you can always sign in private and log into a separate account if you have the logins. So try that again, ATC dash. Right, so we're just signing into that training account at atc.ct1. This is the project that we can see. Switching through to the docs module. By virtue of the permissions that were given to us by the project administrators in the work in progress folder, I can see the architectural team. I can see that I've got in doc, I've got access to our micrographics team. There is the micrographics silo in which the guys are working. I've also got access to the document manager, and I've got access to the archive. So I've got full control of the micrographics team as the admin, as MGFX-CT1. And because of my permissions within Autodesk Docs, under the package managers, I can see that under my role for team, I was given permission to create a package. So I'm able to create a package for my team. If I go to packages, I can then create a package. And I can give that package a name. So if I go with b.ax for work in progress general architecture and .fx1 for micrographics, I could give it a further explanation as well for webinar, or if you want to be more structured, you could put the date 12/17/01. (2024/12/17/01). So that might be the package that we create today, and I might give it a description. Package for webinar purposes. Create. Alright, so there we can see I've got a package. On the right hand side, there are some controls over there. I have controls of this package because I created it. I might not have control of the other package because I didn't create it, but I can share it. Right. So on this package that I created, I've got full control, but on somebody else's package, I might not have full control. However, if I am one of the project admins, so now I'm one of the project admins in this interface, now we would say, well, I've got full control of everything. So if we're going to have a look at the packages that were created, I will have full control of everybody's packages because I am project admin. Alright, so upshot is you have to be careful who you make project admin, and project admin themselves have to be careful of what they do because they can do pretty much everything and anything. And so again, my best advice is just stay out the way unless you really need to do something specific. Just let the other guys get on with it because you've got the ability to interfere with their workflow. If you do something wrong, then it might be detrimental to the workflow. All right. When you delete, and this is important to note, because you can delete somebody else's package if you're an admin, or if you delete your own package, it does not mean that you delete the files that are within that package. It simply means that you delete the associativity of those files and their versions, the associativity of those files and their versions with that package. So you don't have to worry that you're going to get rid of files or delete files. And even if you did delete files, remember that you have a recycling bin. So once you upload something onto the Autodesk Construction Cloud, you can never really you can't get rid of it until such a day as what the hub is destroyed. But the deleted items are always going to be there, so you don't have to fear that too much. It's just from a workflow perspective, you don't want to make a nuisance of yourself and delete somebody's package when you mean not to delete it. But even if you did delete it, it would just simply remove the associativity of the files and the versions with that package and get rid of the package, but it won't delete the files. And you know, if you even, besides the point, but if you did delete files, it will just go into the recycling bin and they won't be emptied, they'll always be there. So that is the advantage of the Autodesk Construction Cloud as well. You can't get rid of the information. It doesn't allow you to do that. So then if you're a member, just a normal member, if you have view permission, just normal view permission on a folder, then you might be able to view the package only. And that is file specific. Right. So if I, for argument's sake, go to the docs files over here and let me go and copy under the folders. I'm just going to copy one of the team files into the document managers folder there. I just want to show you the result of that. Right, so let's take this A1 and copy that into the document managers folder, just like that. And let's do it, copy. Then we'll see that the A1 file is also within the document managers folder there. And let me differentiate it from the other files by renaming it. Just so you can see that it's definitely let's do 00 for the volume of the system. Alright, so there's a 00 for the volume of the system, and on the team side that file doesn't exist. There's no 00 under the volume of the system here. So if I were to create a team, a package, right? I've created this package as atc.ct1, the manager, the team manager, and I can then add files. I can select those files from the folders that I've got access to. From the teams folder, I'm going to choose the AA location, and I can also choose from the document manager this funny 00 file that I've created. Right, so the reason being, I want to demonstrate to you that the normal user has access to AXFX1, but not to the document management folder. I just want to show you how that works. So if I select those two files, I can add them. There we can see the version that I want to version to. Okay, you can also choose the version that you want to share in a package. And we can say add them. Now, how would this look from a user's perspective? Again, we can use a browser. This time I'm going to use Chrome to open up the cloud platform as the user. So that's going to be ATC-CT2. Okay, so we're just opening up our docs module for the cloud under the project that we are busy working with. As a normal user under the packages, we can see the packages. And if we open one of those packages, there we can see we can only see the AA file. So because we don't have access to that other folder, to the document managers folder, we can't actually even see the file. So the classification of your files is very much folder based, and whoever the folder is shared with, if they can't see it, then they won't be able to see it. All right, so maybe this is useful from an internal perspective. If you want to do review processes, say from your document management folder, and you then want to go and create some other review using only certain files, then you could create that internally. Only the people with access to the document managers folder would be able to open those files and see them. So from a review process, it might work like that. And because the normal users can't see it, they won't be able to open those files. So that's from the document management perspective, that you could create those things internally for reviewing documents and then putting them into the published folder. Some documents, you might have to copy through into the shared folder. Now, once it's in the shared folder, there must be some other way for you to communicate to the other teams that you've got information that's new within the shared folder. And so normally what happens is you could then say that this might be everything that's been shared by the architectural team. And if you're using docs, a safe way to do this is as follows. You would give, on the shared folder level, as the permissions, you would basically say that anybody within the project, literally anybody and everybody, has view permission, so they can view and download. So download also means that you can copy. All right? And so the easiest way, just as a workflow, would be to say, all right, we're ready to share information with the other teams. And so what we would do is we would say, choose our files. If I was the team manager, we should actually do this as a team manager. Okay, so there's the team manager. We go out to the packages, into the folders. Then we might say something like, all right, let's take the documents that we need to share with the other teams from a collaboration point of view, and then we'll copy them into the shared folder. Okay, so why am I able to do this? There you can see my shared folder is black. That's because I am, as ATC-CT1, the team manager. So on the shared folder, there we can see my permissions. Let's take this off. Student shouldn't have access there. What should have access here is AX admin. And that's going to be as managed permission. All right. So we continue and accept all and copy them. So at this specific time, they are then copied from work in progress into the shared folder. So once they are in the shared folder, you can see there's December 17, that's when they were copied, some of them. Once they're in the shared folder, other people now need to be alerted to the fact that these files are available. And what we normally do is we just select everything and then create a transmittal, because we can have a transactional download who got the transmittal and so on and so forth. So we might have to select certain files here. But in a very complex project, we might have, like we said, thousands of files, some of them relevant to certain buildings and other buildings. We might have, say, 100 different buildings on one site. It's possible to scale this platform quite a large extent, not infinitely, but it is possible to have a very, very large amount of data stored on here. And then you might go, okay, but now how do I start classifying this information so that I can share this with other people? You know, you're either going to have to create quite a large subfolder structure over here or do something. And of course, one of the things that you could do is to create a package. And that might also be useful. So if we create a package here, let's go back to our original package. So There we'll see that we can edit this package. Let's change that to D for shared. It's just a sort of package for webinars purposes shared. Okay, save. Let's get rid of, just to show you that we can edit this, let's get rid of these two files over there. Okay, we can remove. That doesn't delete the files from the project, it simply just removes them from this package. And then let's go and add files. And I can add files from the shared location. And I can say, right, there's the architect's shared location over here. Now I can choose, well, I only want to share the AA buildings files with whomever. And that might be as many files as I want. But I can then choose those. And I can also choose which version. So if the version they're upped or down, then I can say which version they must share. Select those files, okay, add. And I could even go further and just rename this package once more. So let's just say location AA. So somebody might need to be alerted to the fact that this package is now available. And you can see that you can even, if a file is in a package, you can even put it there for review or export. So it's got the same controls as normal. So by virtue of this package existing, you can very easily create sort of filtered reviews, or you can basically create a collection of files that you want to use in some other way, either for export, for sharing, for downloading, for submitting for review, or for creating transmittals. That's up to you how you choose to use that. And this package then exists, after which you can say, let's share this. And you can choose to share this package with recipients, which are people within the company, or roles, certain roles within the company, or companies themselves. Okay, it's the usual permission-based structures. So in my case, I'm going to go with the roles, and I think you would be able to search for role as being SX. Where can you search there? SX. Okay, so if you search for SX, then we can see there's our admin from SX. We could even maybe create a generic role and apply it to a whole bunch of people and say you can all receive packages. But let's suppose that we now share the package with team managers, with the structural team manager. And if you want links, then you can actually get links to the individual documents within there as well. And you can copy them all and send them off to somebody else. They would need a license to be able to access these files. So it's not exactly like sharing them externally. You should be able to share them externally as well. And then let's see what that looks like. So here we are back with ATC 2. That is ATC 2. Let's do ATC 3. We're just simulating here somebody now from the structural discipline that has got structural permission. So we sign in as ATC CT3 at mgfx.co.za. There's our project that we are working with. We switch out to the docs module, and under the file tab of the docs module, we'll find our packages. This is one of the packages that was shared with me. There I can see that it's got a link to the file. And I would now be able to inspect these files, select them, and then copy them. You won't be able to share them directly. See? You can download, export, or get at them that way. Just see if we go to the path. Then you would be able to copy them into the structural consumed folder. That's DB structural theme consumed. There's our AX folder, and copy. Alright, so that would then simulate the behavior of the Autodesk Collaborate Pro workflow if you've only got a Docs license. To my mind, it's not as simple or intuitive, but it could have some great applications beyond which I've envisaged or thought about. That's also for you to explore. Just to get back to our webinar outline, we've now basically, you can lock and unlock and share packages. We didn't look at lock and unlock, but you can lock them. You can also search through, we're running out of time, but you can do I just want to show one more thing before we close off. You can see that you can also search and filter packages once you've built up enough of them. Once you've got the data. There's a package manager setting. We've talked about that with regards to the permissions as well, which is important. The permissions are basically based on the folder structure permission. So you can see that there's also very good help files. To get at those help files, you just open the Autodesk Docs and you click on the little help button at the top there. Okay. But you can see that all of these permissions are role-based. Depends on if you're a project administrator. We've explained that. What is a project administrator? It's somebody with access of project admin. If you're a package manager, you might be part of a role that was given permission to create a package, but that would allow you to create packages only for the folders that you've got managed permission on. And then we've got the average project member, and again, what they're capable of is limited to their permissions on the folder structure. You can also access packages via mobile. So I do have an example of something like that. This is the, it's just an emulator. And on our emulator, we're able to say, all right, let's go to this project. This might be a cell phone now or a tablet. It simulates a tablet. And on the Files tab, you can see that there's also a packages beta where you can gain access to the packages that were shared with you. Kobe. Let's just update this. Refresh project. And just see the download options. So we've got sheets and files, attachments. We are connected to the internet, so I should be able to download what we need. Okay, let's go there after we've refreshed them. These are files. Packages are over there. And here we can see the latest package added December 17. And if that was shared with us, or if we're the admin, then we can get at that package through our mobile device. So if that's a cell phone or a tablet, we'll be able to get at that. Okay, it shouldn't take too long. There we can see it opens, and we've got the file available to us in our tablet. Okay, so the package beta is also available for you to try on your cell phone if you want. So in conclusion, what we would say is in the absence of ACC Collaborate or Collaborate Pro, which to my mind is first prize, but if you don't have it available to you, or in the case where the files do not extend themselves to ACC Collaborate Timeline or Swimlane Workflow, so you do get files that aren't automatically, or that can't be included into the files that you choose, then ACC Docs file packages offer a solution with some advantages but constrained by permissions. And you could also see, even after you've shared the packages, it's not just a simple question of copying the files from the shared folder into your consumed folder. That is a pity, but you can still download and upload separately. To my mind, copying is much faster. That's the way that one should be going with that. That brings us to the end of the webinar. So unless there are any questions, I see on the live chat there are no questions, but if you have any questions, you're also welcome to forward that to us. If you want a further demonstration or advice, then please contact us at Micrographics. We're here to support you. You can easily get to us at www.mgfx.co.za or info@mgfx.co.za, and you'll be routed to one of the technical support people. With that, I hope you have a wonderful day further and enjoy Autodesk Construction Cloud.